Welcome back to the Unstoppable podcast, and today we're going to be talking about balance. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. When you first start anything, or you commit to something, you commit to change, you commit to a business, you commit to a lifestyle, whatever, you are not going to have balance. You're really not going to have balance at the start because you need to be able to go all in with whatever it is to be able to genuinely and truly progress. And that's exactly what I did. And it has taken probably about 3 years now to be able to regain that balance, because I'm not being funny, I love being all in. I consistently love being consistent and being 100% with whatever I do. And whether that was saying no to plans, saying no to going out at the weekend, to drinking, to family occasions, seeing family. Yeah, that sounds a little bit sad to some people, could be a little bit boring. But for me, the main goal was for me to build my coaching community, but then also as well be the best athlete that I could potentially be, as well as withstand the relationships in my close proximity. Because having them 3 things, it's a lot. Like, not everyone can do all of that, but then also as well, not a lot of people can do one thing. Not a lot of people can do another thing because they enjoy balance too much initially and they don't want that initial sacrifice. Now, once you've got all in and you've got the momentum, you know how to do X, Y, and Z, you then can start to create balance. And I genuinely think this is the secret to mastering balance, because you don't have the balance at the start. You have to learn to adapt to this new way of life, this new lifestyle, this new goal. And your goals are constantly changing, adapting, they're getting bigger, stronger, like all of that. But then you then have to somewhere create the balance, or else you're going to lead to burnout. Now, burnout is something that I'm quite familiar with. I've been burnt out quite a few times, and I will hold my hands up and say I ignored the warning signs. I genuinely did. And it was even quite recently when I was burnt out last, and it was January. I'd literally done High Rocks Manchester, and my body doesn't recover as fast as what a lot of people do post races, and that's something I really struggled to come to terms with, because for me, I'm a get up and go person. Like, I want to be going at 100 miles per hour. I want things done yesterday. I don't want things done in a few days. I hate rest. Mentally, I always think it's for the weak. It's not at all. If anything, it's meant for the strong, because the weak are the ones who then continue to not rest and continue to burn out and have this vicious cycle and not have the balance. They don't have it all. Now, initially, yes, you don't have that. But when I was burnt out after Manchester High Rocks, it didn't only affect me physically to the point where I did have to go to the doctors. I did have to get some actual medical attention because my body just physically couldn't do it. And the warning signs were all there, like constant fatigue, getting irritable, dizziness in my case. Like, I was constantly dizzy, feeling lightheaded. I just wasn't the same person that I was. And it actually makes me upset, because that is just not me as a person. Like, I'm not one of them people who gets shook. Mentally, I'm very strong, but my body isn't always the strongest, because it's never really been the strongest thing. However, now it is. And when I say that, like, because I wasn't your typically sporty person growing up, my body's still very new to this. Mentally, I'm there. I'm at that podium, I'm at that top level high rocks athlete, like that's where I'm at mentally. Physically, my body isn't at that point because I was bigger. My joints, my bones, like they've been through a lot more than what other people's was. And that's okay. And sometimes mentally you have to shift that perspective of like, that's the journey I'm on and I have to go on that journey in my own way. No, when that relates back to balance, it's about balancing your body and your mind too and making sure you get both of what it needs. For me to come back from burnout, I had to create balance because I didn't have none. And that for me, as a coach, for my clients and my athletes, that is not something that I could not give my 100% to them because I wasn't giving 100% to myself. And that's something that I've had to build in, and that starts with boundaries. Like genuinely setting those healthy boundaries for yourself is so important to make sure that you are genuinely being, one, your truest self, but also giving yourself that time, that space that is needed to make sure that you are genuinely being that best version of yourself. And I know some people may say that as cringe, but genuinely you have to be selfish to be that best version and give to other people as well as giving to yourself. And after January, I made kind of a bit of a pact to myself to make sure that I do have balance, make sure that, yes, I do say yes to certain things. I do say, main thing for me was like spending time with my partner and Cal, like I wasn't spending any time with him, like actual time with him, and that made me upset because it was just like, why would you still want to be with me? Why would you want to still be with me? And when I'm solo in energy, I'm not the same person that I was. I was snapping, I was irritable, and I had to create, if I wanted this one to work, for me to still have a life outside of my clients and for myself, then I had to have that space for myself too. So we set them boundaries in place of, one, not replying to the girls after 8 o'clock, even though that absolutely killed me. Like, the girls are my friends. They are my friends at the end of the day. We speak to each other like we're best friends. And that was so important to me, especially within the coaching community that we've got, is that we kind of have that open relationship. But then also as well, it was important I had them boundaries put in place so I could then shut off for myself. Now, in terms of the training side of things, after High Rocks Manchester, I had to completely stop training for a week because my body was just in such a high state of stress, inflammation. It just did not want to do anything. I'd go into the gym and my sessions just would not be quality. And then that would frustrate me mentally even more, which would cause even more stress. So that was a massive vicious cycle. And I know a lot of people listening to this and probably thinking, oh, that's me, but I'm telling you now to rest. Like, if you are seeing any of them signs, just rest, because you need to have that rest, that space, that breather, because your body needs to reset. Now, when I had that week off, it was really mentally challenging for me, because moving my body is for me to be feeling good in myself and mentally feeling strong and just the best version of myself I possibly could do. Now, after that week, we then got a plan in place to make sure we could bring my training intensity back up in a way that I could, and my body physically could deal with that as well. Alongside my nutrition was really heavily managed to make sure that I would reduce inflammation, but then also as well really fuel myself up to make sure that I was feeling good in all aspects. When I went back to training and I did my first session, it genuinely was like Christmas, because I was like, this is what I love. Like, this is genuinely what I love, and I'm so grateful for it. And I think a lot of us don't appreciate being able to move our bodies, to train, to feel free, to feel that movement and just feel incredible from literally just moving your body. And that session was insane. Now, when we come back to the balance aspect of it all, I had to then incorporate into my routine time for myself in terms of training, but not rush the sessions. Not rush the sessions, make that time for me and exclusively for me. No phones, no nothing. That was that. Then when it comes to obviously coaching and working for yourself, having them healthy boundaries in place just really, really helped to be able to do that. Because then having that rest period to be able to then move forward was so key to be able to, one, push the girls even more, but also build and bring the community up even more too. And I was only able to do that by having and working a certain amount of hours in the day, or else I weren't giving my all to it. It would be sporadic, I'd procrastinate, I'd put things off, I'd delay things, and that isn't me as a person. So something had to change. And as we then move into the balance side of life, making sure that you have them areas in your life that you truly love, whether that is going for a walk, spending time with family, spending time with friends, going out for a meal at the weekend. Like, really, really align with yourself and what you truly want. And a few podcast episodes before we did the goal setting thing, that will help you create the balance. Like, genuinely timetable everything into your life as if it was a meeting in work, because that is an absolute game changer to be able to achieve that balance. Because you don't want to get to burnout before balance has to come in, but then sometimes it forces you to create that balance. And I'm obviously not saying everyone go and get burnout, because that's just stupid. Like, don't do that. But then you've also got to realise when you commit to something initially, you're never going to have that balance because you become obsessed with achieving that goal. And that goal then just it can become mundane if you're just constantly doing and trying to achieve and do things to achieve that goal. And if you're not getting to that goal quicker than what you thought you would, it can become frustrating. So having that work, play type of situation will genuinely really help. And it's like, we've just had a conversation now, me and Jack, about holidays. Like, it is so important that you have the holidays. It's so important that you have that time, you have that space, you have that downtime, because it actually allows you to move forward faster. Because little did I know, grinding, hustling, building, working, all of that sort of mentality, that life, it was just actually slowing me down, because I weren't actually being appreciative of where I am right now. I weren't being present. I was constantly focused in the future. And I'm not gonna lie, it made me pretty fucking miserable. Like, and a lot of people could probably turn around and say that that's quite bad, like, you're working towards a goal and this, that and the other, like, you should be excited for it. It's like, no, it can make you unhappy. If you don't have what aligns with you, you don't align with your values, then it can actually make you unhappy. So what I want you to go away with is go and look at that episode where you had the goal setting, look at what means to you most, and create a life based around that you would find amazing, and actually show up in that life. And when things get a little bit either mundane or you feel like something is shifting, revisit them goals, realign, set new ones, and then find that balance again. Because that's all the cycle that you are going to have, because you don't ever just have one set goal, you don't have one set balance, you don't have one set life, because that's not what life is. It's a journey, and it is genuinely a beautiful journey if you just embrace and be present at every single moment and every single step. And that's where I'm going to leave today's episode. If you enjoyed this podcast, make sure you like, subscribe, and make sure you follow for more.